Yo, 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 it's your friend Dinner Dog, and I love the idea of doing this video. The you come across the essentially a standard opening route so often in randomizer that it's really the one true thing that you can like consistently look at saying, I can practice for this, I can speed run this, and get really consistent at it. And it can have a really big impact on your time, especially because in the context of this series we're looking at doing racing. So I made this a 200 series video, and specifically it's called Mastering the Opening Route because it's a journey. Like, you're not going to watch this and be a master at it. It takes time, patience, and perseverance. So yeah, we will explore all those topics as we go through this video. So breaking it down here, let's look at what the typical opening route is, what the sort of mental checkpoints you should have while you're doing this route, what we need to consider to build our mastery for it, and then I've got a walkthrough, an actual example. Those could have been the same thing. Anywho, so let's keep her going here. So we covered this last video, but this is the typical opening route, right? So generally speaking, especially if you're playing safe or like similar kind of presets, you're going to be having presets where you're essentially going from the beginning of the game and you're just trying to get to the library and hopefully not having to grind for money. But if it happens, it happens, right? So this typically happens so often that you can get really good at practicing it and getting really well acquainted with what's required of you. And in particular, because this is a randomizer which includes item randomization, you should really be comfortable with how can I do all of this effectively with nothing. I don't get any relics, I don't get any weapons, all that good stuff. So we're going to be exploring that today. So the best way I can describe how to get better at this is just to A, practice, but B, is to check in on things. So the one example I'll give is I remember racing one time, and this is a while ago, and Razio saying, I want to get to the clock room before the statue opens. And at the time I was thinking to myself, how the hell is that possible? I'll never be able to do that. Or like I didn't even think that that was in the realm of possibility. And then once I realized it was possible and that like there was a limit that could be pushed, like whether it was through like just unconsciously figuring it out or trial and error or just realizing that there's this artificial limit that really doesn't exist and I should be able to do faster. I was able to do it, and then I was able to do it consistently. So I love the idea of setting kind of checkpoints in your mind and saying, where should I be at this point? And I'll share some of mine here. So on the map, these yellow circles are what I'm looking for here. So, and like I've got kind of an idea of where I want to be. Obviously these are all relic and item dependent, but the assumption here is that we don't get any relics that change the route. So this is the timing. The Obviously, if you get items that let you hit harder, you'll likely go faster. If you get a shield, things like that. But yeah. So typically, what I do is I want to have a good understanding of when I meet death. Ideally, that's around the 2 minute mark. But let's be real. Like a lot of that depends on the prologue, which is to an extent out of your hands. Like the item or the damage stacking is a bit random. So do your best you can there. But sometimes the game's just gonna throw you a curveball. It's also very dependent on how many hits it takes for to kill wargs, things like that. And then my next checkpoint is when am I leaving the laboratory, and I want to do it under 5 minutes. 4:45 is usually a pretty good time for me. The and so and being able to do that without anything is helpful. So I got something caught in my throat here. Yeah. So next thing is getting to that all important part where the door is opening in the clock room. There's a little dependency here. If you need to go down and grab this item for the purpose of the walkthrough will do, I'm just going to ignore it and just do the peek. But yeah, like that's going to obviously add a bunch of time. And then the next part is how long does it take me to get to the end of the marble gallery, going to the outer wall, and then lastly getting to the actual library. And that is also dependent because there's a lot of optional movement up here depending on if there's a relic in the elevator or not. So that's kind of what I do. So don't look at these times and say, oh, I got to hit that, or oh, I'll never hit that. So none of this matters, right? It does. You can have whatever checkpoints you want. I just think it's a good practice to have an understanding of where are you in context of the race in terms of your location and time, and then think about where are other people in this case. The how can I go faster? Are there things I can do, or the things that you cannot do? Item checks. The to speed that up and such like that. So let's look at what are some things we want to consider. I'd say the biggest thing is the menus, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But in the beginning of the game, you are very well equipped to get to the library with absolutely nothing. The Now that might be easier said than done, of course, but like you should be looking to practice to get to that point. And then you'll be really off to the races then. And I know you can do it. Like let's be real, right? We're just pressing buttons, right? When you break it all down, it's just when do I press the button, right? And if we think about it in its most basic form, anyone can do that, right? So let's just get good at pressing the button, right? And like thinking about when I need to press the button. Like like if you're looking at my times and saying, "Oh, I'll never be able to do that," all I'm doing is pressing the button. You can absolutely do that. Like you can definitely make that happen. But but yeah. So in terms of the menu, there's really only two things we want at the beginning of the game to use the menu for. We want a shield or something that allows us to backdash cancel. And ideally weapons. You don't really need weapons, especially at the beginning, but they will give you range. And in particular, once you get to the bloody zombies, you're going to start getting faster because you might have to three hit them with your fist, or you can just one hit them with your sword. It does save a good amount of time. The We want to avoid practically everything else. So helmets at the beginning of the game are useless. Do not equip a helmet unless you're about to die, right? If you're getting beat up, sure. If otherwise, don't menu for a helmet, right? You probably shouldn't menu for armor. You likely don't need it. You definitely don't need a cape, right? Like unless like you're poisoned, like capes give you constitution. A little bit of that will give you defense, but its primary purpose is to avoid status ailments. The poison is a big one, but the likelihood is you're not going to need it. So please don't menu for a cape. You probably don't need it. The And like even accessories, like most of them are going to be money. So what we want to do is when we think about menuing, we kind of want to have in our minds like what are key moments of truth that make sense to enter the menu. So you'll notice here that you can actually get a slightly faster menu when you open and close the menu in a room that has no background music. The So loading rooms, save rooms, although you really shouldn't be saving at the beginning of the game, things like that. So for me, and we'll go through it in the walkthrough, but like a key moment of truth is like the first load room going into the laboratory, because if I have a shield or a weapon, that's the time I want to equip it. Or just after Slogger and Gaibon, because I want to have something in particular, a weapon for killing the bloody zombies. The I want to menu right or in the room that I'm going to fight Doppelganger 10 in, because there's no music playing when you first get in there, and Doppelganger 10 is a moment of truth. The Those kind of things, right? The Obviously, if you're in the menu and you're going to equip a sword and you happen to have armor, put the armor on. Absolutely, just don't menu specifically for the armor. The I I like the idea of avoiding extra checks. Some people may not, but the less you check, the faster you'll be. The So I kind of timed out it, from the time when, and actually no, we'll just look at it in the example. Let's talk about that. We're going to talk about the IQ check in a moment. But yeah, like if the more checks you avoid that aren't just on the way, the more time you'll save. Consistent movement is a given. The Because we are essentially facing the same challenge every time, because we're just doing the standard route. You should look to get very consistent here. There are some room tricks we can utilize, which we'll go through. We're going to avoid saves as much as possible. Like ideally, your first save should be for a save split. In an ideal sense, or if like you're going to fight Alrox, which we're not going to do in this example because we're doing the standard route. So we want to avoid saves. We want to get that first long save, which is required when we're going to make a long save anyways. If we need to heal, ideally we're using Soul Steal. And I know you can't do Soul Steal right away because you don't have the MP, but ideally we get to a point where we're getting hit so few times it won't matter, and you won't need health until you're able to Soul Steal, which I believe is just like if you get the cross, probably after Slogger and Gaibon, you probably have enough MP, or at least going into the Marble Gallery. We want to look at if we do need to farm in the library, where do we want to do that? And the biggest piece of advice I can give you is just watch other people, right? The You'll pick up on things that they do, and more importantly, you'll see them break limits that you have. And once you see that something is achievable, like even just unconsciously, you'll be able to propel yourself forward. Even if you don't like consciously change things, you'll just realize that that's possible. And then hopefully you are consciously doing things. But I even think unconsciously, you'll just say, okay, like this is a limit I can achieve, and if I track it in my mind, I can do it. The All right, so those are our considerations. Let's look at a walkthrough. So I didn't plan for this to walkthrough to be juiced, but it kind of was. I actually did a really good job on it. So we're gonna watch a video here, and I'm gonna pause and do all sorts of stuff as we go. The Hold on, where's my mouse? Okay, here it is. So yeah, I've already, just to save time, I've already done the prologue. I got a pretty good prologue out of it. We've done a video on prologue, so go check that bad boy out. But and for the purpose of this, I'm also playing on casual. So the reason I want to do casual is because I won't know items when I pick them up. So if I want to use something, I need a menu for it, I need to read for it. So it's theoretically a bit more challenging than some of the other presets. And I'm doing that because I'm still getting really good times regardless of that, right? And taking that into account as well, I'm looking at when do I actually want a menu because I don't know what I have. All right, so yeah, let's get out of here. So we're gonna pause this right away. And so what are we doing here? Especially in casual, you don't know what you have to start with. So you have the spoilers, which you're allowed to look at in races. You're allowed to look at the item spoilers for just after the prologue. You just can't look at relic locations or solutions. So because I don't know what I have, I don't know if I have money right now. Whereas if I was playing, let's say guarded OG, I would know for those spoilers if I have a gem of some sort, right? But I don't know that now. The So what I want to do at the beginning is I want to say, do I have a library card right now? And if I do, then I want to check my accessory to see if it's money, and then move on, right? But and now typically people do this right before death, but when they're doing that, especially if it's in OG and stuff like that, they already know if they have money or not, right? I personally like doing it at the beginning because if I have a library card and I have money, I'm just gonna take it right away. But that's a story for another video. The other thing I'm gonna get value out of is I probably won't get a chance to look at the type of sword at the bottom. That's like it takes too long. I don't want to spend 5 seconds in here. What I want to do is say, is library card true? Yes or no? And then I want to glance at my attack if I get the chance to do so. If I don't, then I won't. But the wargs take 32 damage. They have no defense. So if this number is above 32, then you can confidently say I'm going to one hit them, or the opposite. I'm going to 2 or 3 hit them, things like that. Or what's even the best that has saved me time in races is I glance at this and the number is 0 because like you got like tier fiend stats or something like that, and you can confidently turn it off at that point. Which is also saves you a boatload of time. So I think it's worth menuing to begin with. If you're going to take a library card, take it ASAP. But we'll do another video about that later. So that's what we're doing right away. We're going to take a look and quickly move on. I know we're 2-hitting now because I saw what was in the menu. And so what we're going to be doing through here is once the zombies start appearing, we want to start doing some jump slashes. And then the other cool thing about zombies is, although like there's randomness to them, they don't just like pop up 5 at a time, right? Like there's a bit of a consistent delay that you can rely on. So yeah, like jump diagonal slashes I like doing just to make sure I don't get hit because getting hit sucks. And then once I hit a zombie, then I can reliably say, okay, I've got like a moment or two I can start backdash canceling, and I don't need to worry about the zombie. Ideally, you're hitting the zombie at the same time you're hitting the warg, but that's not really up to you. But when it happens, it's great, and then just keep moving along. In the next room here, you can look to hit the bats up there, but I typically don't go for it. Even when I do try to hit them, sometimes I whiff, so I just keep her going. So a couple stutters here, unfortunately, but we just kill these wargs. Again, this is probably not the fastest that people can do. Like you should watch other people for sure. We're just using this as an example. Now I don't know why I couldn't break this thing. I don't know what sword I had, but it was terrible. So the extra kind of sword swings got us above the 2-minute mark. Death's gonna take our stuff. We really don't care. Now I don't. I usually just backdash off this, but I think it is faster to jump off it and then backdash. So you actually get some horizontal movement because when you fall off the ledge after backdash, you'll just fall right down. And there's we're making our way through here. So let's see what we got here. So we get the helmet, and we're not menuing. We don't want it. We get the fire boomerang. Obviously, we're not going to menu for that. And I'm going to ignore this here. I'm making the assumption in this preview that I'm finding nothing, because you probably won't. So I already had in my head before we started that I wasn't going to grab it. So you can add a couple seconds to the end of this footage here. So now we're going to punch these dudes here, and we're going to punch them because we need to double hit them. If we could theoretically do the jump kick, by pressing down, forward, and attack because we are unarmed. But if we were to do that, we're likely to get we're likely to hit up against them because we're not going to single hit them. It's a better move for single hits. There's no item to our left here, but the best way to get over this is just to backdash on the side, jump up and clear and go over instead of just trying to like heave over yourself through a diagonal jump. At least I find this is consistent for me. So we'll just keep it going. And you see now we're starting to kick guys. But for this guy, he's armored. He's going to take 2 hits, right? And then I got to deal with these spikes. So we're going to get a 2-for-1 sale here. The other reason why we don't want armor is because, at least the way I approach this, is I'm just going to purposely get hit by him by backdashing into him. He's going to send me through the spikes. So we do that, and then we just continue along our merry old way here. Grab the Alucard mail. You'll notice that we're not menuing at this point. We don't want the Alucard mail. We just want to keep going. Looking at this stuff here, like we're gonna start going into platforming. I should have talked about it a bit before, but the platform height is typically much lower than Alucard's maximum height. So you kind of want to get a sense for it, but you want to be in a place where you're only jumping as high as you need to. And it maybe sounds silly, but you actually will save a lot of time by doing that. So let's continue going here. We want to take as much height as possible. If you get an opportunity, especially if you have a sword, you do want to attack these guys. Like I know there's kind of an experience route in Rando, but really kind of not because you got to take a different path than the speedrun does. I'm not completely familiar with it, so someone in the comments will correct me on this. But there's probably like a level up animation that can be saved. But typically, if the enemy's in range and I'm gonna like jump up here anyways to this platform, I might as well attack them, especially if I can attack them in midair. Just in case they drop something. And in particular, the biggest problem we're looking to solve immediately at the beginning of the game is what are is for money. And all the enemies are part of the common drop pool, so they can drop money bags. So we're kind of trying to fish for that. So we go through here. You'll see that we didn't go for the IQ check, which is on the left side here. So I timed it out a little bit before, and maybe I didn't do the best timing of it, but for me, it took me 6 seconds to do it. And what I'm oh, it's too far forward. Can I just nudge this, or maybe I can't? I'll just push this over here. So I need to show you something here. All right, here we go. So the moment Alucard jumps on this side is when the timer would, like jumping up to get to this platform here, is when the timer would start for someone to go down and open this check here. Or maybe they go up and go down. I'm not sure. I usually don't do this check. But you've got to traverse from like here to the rest of the room. You don't get value from like just this section over here because you're not going up. Like I think it's like you got to 3-punch this wall, go into the room, open the thing, hopefully you don't get a heart max up, and then if you do get some value, you get to take the menu time as well, which adds to it, right? Whereas if we just go straight up, I believe you save 6 seconds, and I think 6 seconds is substantial enough to avoid an item check, especially this early in the game. We've done a video recently on game state. It's a 300 series video, so you might not be really ready for that part yet, but essentially at this point in the game, our game state is fantastic. Our fists and our spells will do everything we need. The avoiding item checks when they're out of the way can save us time. So we want to go through here, and we're trying not to do full jumps when possible. And ideally, we want to end this last jump here on as far to the left of this platform as possible, so that we can continue along on our way. We don't want to end up over here. It just adds more space that we need to go through. And again, I'm doing a lot of things that kind of sound like speedrun tech, and it kind of is. Do know that I don't speedrun the game, so you're gonna want to watch people who speedrun the game. They'll be much better at this than I do. Like I imagine, watch a glitchless run. They'll give you, and especially an explanation of glitchless. They'll give a much better explanation than I am. So kill this guy. We do want that item drop. Monster Valor 1 is sweet. And now in this room, I believe I heard, I think it was Talak, but maybe someone else say that like you can do things with your save files which manipulate when the spittlebone spits. I'm not very familiar with it, but just like know it's a thing. The biggest thing that you need to know in this room is we don't want to get poisoned at all. The do not rush this if it means you're potentially getting poisoned. The poison reduces your offense and defense. And you don't have very much of either at this point. You can't get rid of it by saving. Your constitution's so low that like you're gonna have to deal with this at least past the Slogger and Gaibon fight, probably past the Bloody Zombie room. Like it's a long time, so we really want to make sure we're not getting hit by the spit. And take your time here if necessary. In that case, I didn't need to. We're going to punch these guys here. Now, the cool thing to note, and kind of why you don't really need to get a weapon at this point, is that these Axe Knights, I don't know if they're strong versus cut or weak versus hit, but your fist does a good amount of damage. So we can two-hit these guys no problem. It's hard. It's literally harder with a sword sometimes. So that's good. We typically kill the guy on the bottom because he's in the way. The dude on the top, you don't have to kill, and like if you go through this room quickly, he's probably in the right hand side. But if he ends up being in range, if you have a weapon or anything else, we want to kill him, mainly because of the common drop table. And like he can also drop a sub item as well, or sub weapon I should say. And if that's a clock, that's really cool. Holy water's cool. I like Holy Book, the dust, all that kind of good stuff. If he does throw an axe at you and you're up here, even though the axe is going to go through the floor and look like it's going to hit your foot, the hitbox actually doesn't hit your hurt box, so you're in a good place anyway. So we can just keep her going. I do end up punching him there because he walked forward. Now in this room, sorry, I should catch myself for a second. I'm going really quickly. But in this room here, I see a lot of people do this this room in a weird way. All I've done here is backdash. I'm just hitting triangle. And then when I get to the ledge, I'm just going to let Alucard fall. It's a straight fall from this ledge to the bottom. And there's a couple of cool things. So one is that if we push left, we're just going to hit the other ledge at the bottom here. We're probably going to hit this one here, and that's not fun. Or if we press right, we'll hit this one. We just want to drop straight down. And if you do this movement well, like you just backdash cancel, you fall, and then you traverse this bottom section fairly well, then the spittle bone that we're going to be seeing momentarily is going to not be hanging vertically. He's going to be like horizontal or on a diagonal. And it seems that the spittle bone doesn't really spit at that junction. So you might be more likely to avoid being poisoned by just following this strat. So just fall straight down. Don't press left or right. Just allow Alucard to use gravity to get down. Then make your way through here. And then jump up. And it looks like I might have been a bit slow. I probably could have done a backdash down there. But if the spittle bone is on angle, they will not spit. This one did, but thankfully I was able to get on the platform and jump soon enough where it didn't matter. But yeah, we cannot get spit on here. So if you're pressing left or something when you're falling down this shaft here and hit on here, you're likely going to be in a case where the spittle bone is further down and they're more likely to spit on you. And now through here, we're just doing tight jumps to get to these platforms. So we're not doing full jumps, that's bad. And for Slogger and Gaibon, you've seen it a million times. We're just going to do the Tetra Spirit. But pay close attention. Whoa, 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 whoa. What is going on here? What is going on here? Let's back this up for a moment. All right. So you're going to notice like this kind of shape here in the background, and there's like on the right side of it, there's kind of this horn that sticks out of it. What we want to do is position Alucard right there. Oh, actually, no, sorry, it's below the image. So you see this horn here? This is kind of where you want to position Alucard to start the Tetra Spirit. And then when you perform it, it will start the fight. You can mess it up and still be okay and just move backwards, but this is kind of the sweet spot you want to be in. And then after we do the Tetra Spirit, we want to start punching and placing Alucard in the middle of this pillar here. And if we do that, we should be close enough to hit both of them and hopefully double hit as well. But yeah, that's kind of the range we want to be in. So we want to Tetra Spirit here, and then we want to do our punching in this column here. There we go. So we punch those guys, and now we're leaving. So we haven't figured out any items yet, but if we did have items, this would be a moment where we'd want to start utilizing them. You see I take a hit there because my range is crap. But utilizing the menu to then fight these guys, oh my god, is very high tier. So otherwise now, because we don't have a weapon, we're just going to like crouch and punch them. Our strength is likely not high enough to be able to two-hit them, and I think that's the case here. Yeah, I need 3 hits here. We want to get close to them because then our fist will double hit. And we just keep moving around. Now this room is really important. So the challenge with this room is we don't want to deal with the Spittlebone. So getting hit there sucks because it's a very narrow part. And then you're surrounded by Axe Knights. So I figured out a cool timing where if you do the movement in this room fairly well, then you'll arrive at the Spittlebone again when the Spittlebone is transitioning from horizontal to vertical, and it won't spit on you in that moment. Because otherwise, you need to either like randomly try to get through and hope you don't get hit, or try to attack the Spittlebone, which is difficult with just your fists, or you need to use a spell to get some iframes. But even if you do any of those, the other problem is that there's an Axe Knight on the other side of this, and the longer it takes for you to get through it, the closer he gets to you, he'll start moving from left to right, from right to left. And then that becomes problematic because you start getting hit by him. The other Axe Knight that's just below here is going to start tossing things, and if you get poisoned, it's a bit of a mess. So let's look at how we do this room effectively. So the first thing we want to do is we just want to backdash off, and then we're going to head to the left-hand side. So we just fell off the ledge, and now we're holding left. That's going to bring us down here. We're going to miss the Axe Knight. So all we've done is kept hitting triangle, and then as we fall, we're holding left. We jump up, we're going to get the item, and then we're going to jump back over the Axe Knight, I believe. Yeah, over the Axe Knight, jump, and then backdash. And if I can bring that back just slightly here. Oh, of course I'm going to get this. I don't know how to nudge it. I can do that, but that's not enough. So I'm going to try here. It looks like I'm going to fail. But here we can see this guy. I kind of missed it, but I got lucky essentially. But ideally you want this Spittlebone to be all over here. Alright, so let's continue along then. So we punch that guy. He wasn't far enough left to give us trouble again out of that, and we leave. So this is actually a crazy run. My time here is under 4 minutes and 30 seconds. This is faster than usual. Now, to be fair, I also didn't grab the Eye of Vlad, so you can add a bunch of seconds to that, to be fair. And obviously, we didn't use our menu at all because we didn't get anything, but also we didn't equip really anything that was like not useful. Like we didn't equip the armor or the helmet and such like that. So otherwise, we're just going to keep her going here. In the next room, we'll deal with Axe Knights again, and it's just the same thing. It's just execution at this point. We're just backdashing, trying to get close enough to double hit them ideally. You'll see I do that once there. We're trying to get the common drop table. Now the trick to that is when I try to double hit them, I'll backdash to a point, and then I'll close the gap by holding right instead of backdashing into them and then just turning around immediately going right. Like I'll do a couple steps into it. I find that's easier for me to get the right range. So we keep going. We'll kill him, go the wrong way, of course, and jump down. We want to jump because we have better vertical movement there. And you've seen this stuff before. We can start kicking these dudes. Ideally, I probably should have checked above. And of course, you heard the bird in the background. I think my fiance was getting home at the time I was recording this. But there's an item up there. You can jump up and take a peek at it. And maybe come back for it later because it's fairly free. So kill these dudes here. And of course, we're just going to take a peek at what the item is. Now, it was Cube of Zoe, and typically, if we were playing, doing a race, I would grab that. Again, for the example, I'm just assuming we get nothing. But Cube of Zoe before the library is like the biggest thing you can get because you're going to get a couple free use items in the library, potentially. Maybe a library card from the candle. And then otherwise, the other cool thing that we want to get is the, whatchamacallit, just the money bags that can drop from candles. We want to get to 500 or maybe a bit more to be able to buy stuff. But we're just making assumptions here, so we're going to keep her going. So we just hit the 5-minute mark now, and we've already like checked this item, which is fantastic. Bird is going nuts right now. So apologies for that. So now we're back up here. We're well ahead of our schedule we want to be. For these Fleamen, I just like to dive kick them and hope for the best. The obviously didn't work out very well there. I've seen people do spells to get through. In particular, just like summoning a spirit because you get the iframes, and then if the iframes don't work enough, at least the spirit will kill them. Ideally, you want to have a weapon to give you better range, but you just deal with them the best that you can. And now through this rest of these sections, it's just execution here. So what I'm trying to do is I don't have a shield. But I find that if I ram triangle essentially as fast as I can, with the sustainable rhythm, I get a slightly faster backdash than I would just hitting triangle slower. So, try to see what you can do to push that faster. Obviously, don't hurt yourself, and obviously don't get hit by this guy. He's a champion. And notice here, like we're gonna look at our time at the end, but I just took like 3 hits there, and I'm still gonna have a fantastic time. So execution can really help. The getting hit sucks, but we'll deal with it. Now, if we had Jewel of Open, we would go up to the top and open the blue door down there, and then we could exploit the item check below. And that will help us out later when we don't need to come back up there to open the basement. But obviously we don't have it, so we'll just keep moving. Moving into the next room, we're going to be going against the Diplos, and I get a really good pattern here, but ideally, I don't even kill the Diplos. I just jump over them. Now, they might throw fireballs at you, but if that happens, just punch them. I find it more consistent than trying to punch, like crouch and punch like the evil face down there. And I feel it's pretty fast. And now the stone roses. So hopefully at this point you had a weapon, and if you do have a weapon, like something that cuts, now is the time to equip it if you hadn't already. The stone roses are weak to cut. And they'll likely go down in 1 hit, or if they take 2 hits, at least you have range. It's too dangerous to try to attack them with our fists, and if we get hit by them by their flailing, we're likely to take damage. Without armor, they're going to do about 11 damage. It's a bad time, so we don't want any of that stuff. So to avoid this, we just do a summon spirit to get past them. So the trick is do the summon spirit as close as you think you can to the rose. And then allow Alucard to get up from his knees. Press left to orient Alucard's back facing the rose, and then just backdash. The timing can be a bit weird. Like I used to get hit by it all the time when I tried to execute the backdash, but with a bit of practice, it's doable. So we do this, do the spell, and then move along. Same thing over here. Same stuff. And so typically I want to be here at the 7-minute mark, but we got there 40 seconds or 20 seconds faster, which is fantastic. Even 7 minutes by itself is good. We're going to do this item check because it's right here, but we're not going to do the item check above. And I have thoughts on this item check, so there is something above here. You can check it with a summon spirit, but you're going to, especially if you're playing with item randomization on, you're going to see something, you're not going to know what it is. Even if you know what it is, you got to come back for it. And like the odds that something so obvious that you want to come back for it, like Duplicator or Crystogram, are very low. So I just skip it. Like there's very seldom times where I feel like I've lost a race because I've missed this, but there are times where I feel like I've gained time and won a race because I've avoided items. Again, the more you can do with less, the better you'll be. So now we got to go and fight Doppelganger 10. Popeye the Bird is encouraging us on. I jump over these guys because they're stronger and they likely take more than a couple hits, so it just takes time. This up here is going to be our key moment of truth where we want to access the menu. Now you'll notice that I didn't get a weapon, but I'm still going to menu, and I'm going to menu because I want to find out what else do I have to throw at this guy. So I think it takes like with a good amount of strength, or like with a standard amount of strength, say like 10 to 12 hits or something to kill this guy. The That's too slow. So you'll see that I have a cross shuriken and a fire boomerang. I'm going to equip both of those. Unfortunately, Monster Vial is not effective in this fight. I've done a whole video on this guy, but anyways, regardless of not having a weapon, I'm still going to menu because there's stuff I can do. Equip both of these, and now we're going to equip the armor because we're already in the menu. Check that out. We know what's going on there, and just keep her going. Now you could say, well, I don't need to do item checks now that I know I have a diamond, but I'm going to be doing the same item checks that I would regardless, and more importantly, be skipping them. And I thought I was going to get a 2-hit out of this fight, but a 3-hit's fine. Now you could be saying, but Dinner Dog, you're losing out on those items, and I'd say the likelihood of me actually getting value of them is very low. If I do get a duplicator, the likelihood of me finding another throwable is very high, or I can buy one in the shop. So burning them here is very useful. We'll ignore the fact that I got a library card and just keep it going. You'll notice I don't do the item check over here. And there's like a couple reasons for it. One, we don't really need items right now, especially in this case because we know we have a diamond. But even regardless of that, I typically don't go for that item. Because A, it takes time. B, we need to use a soul steal to do it effectively, and I want to have mana for later. So I don't want to do that right now. And the other thing is that if you mess up that thing and fall, it costs you so much time. So don't do that. To me, I just ignore it. And you may be saying again, like, no, but Dinner Dog, I need items. Like, just try. Just humor me. Give it a whirl. Trust me, you're gonna feel so much faster when you start seeing your times here drop down. So we're gonna go through here, and I've got a strategy for this section. So there's a couple of things. If I had flight, I would immediately go to the library. I wouldn't even check what's up here. I'm just gonna guess that mist isn't up there. Or I might skip library entirely, thinking that I'll go get mist and come back. But the other thing is that we know there's a relic check above here, and my rule of thumb is if the relic is something that I want to grab, I will grab it now, even if it's not something that's useful to me now. Like let's say it's I don't know. Let's say it's Power of Wolf, right? Like I want Power of Wolf. There's no guarantee I'm gonna get Bat in a casual seed, right? I will go to my way to get it now. I'll open the elevator, and how I'm gonna open the elevator is I'm gonna use a Soul Steal. And the reason I'm gonna use Soul Steal is because I don't have to go as far to actually open the switch because I can do it from a distance, and Soul Steal does work against it. B, I'm gonna get some much needed health if I took hits. And C, it'll also open the pot above the switch, so I can do essentially two things at once, and I can do it from a further range. If you check the item at the bottom of or just after getting out of the doppelganger fight, you won't have enough MP to do this trick. So typically that's another reason why I don't do it, because it's going to give me a faster item check above. If we find that we look at the relic and it's useless to us, at that point I'm just going to go straight to the library. I'm not going to open the elevator yet. Because what's going to happen is the game is either going to give me Jewel of Open, Gravity Boots, or Leapstone. Like one of those three are likely to be in the library. And in all those cases, I kind of want to go back up anyways. Like if I get Gravity Boots, I want to go to the entrance, and I'll use the teleporter to do that. If I get Double Jump, I'm going to go to the keep, and I can open the teleporter along the way and the elevator. So I can't remember what I got in this. But we'll just dispatch with these guys accordingly, hopefully get some money. I think I was going to say, I think we had enough of Bird, but I'm going to lose everything. So you see here how there was a relic there. I kind of instinctively jumped up, but then afterwards I decided, okay, I'm not going to take a card. So if I'm never going to get it, let's just bounce now. If it was something, I would have went up and grabbed it. But anyways, we go down, we go down, we go down. We don't care if these guys die or not. If they do, it's great because we get potential money. And here we are. So although I didn't do the top section here, look at this time. 8:16 is fantastic. I think that's probably the best time I've ever got to get into this section. So like this was a banger for me, and I guess I just need to pay more attention while I'm racing and be more thoughtful about what I'm doing because I typically don't get a time like this. So again, you could add more time to say, okay, well maybe this should have been 8:20 because I didn't pick up the Eye of Lad on purpose, right? Or maybe you would say, well, this should be even longer, like 9 minutes because of you didn't do the stuff above, right? But to be fair, if this was a real race, I wouldn't have done that either. So I just take the 8:16 as it is, and don't think too much of it. But but the faster I can get here, the better. If someone's getting here in 10 minutes, I already have a minute and 45 seconds on them, and we've only just started the game, right? Like it's hard for them to make that up there unless they just make a better routing decision or they get lucky with something, right? But typically you don't want to rely on luck. You want to rely on your ability, which is again why I kind of avoid items and let just raw ability take over. So I didn't have a slide for this next part. I guess I can just transition back to my normal thing here because we don't need that anymore. But or I guess I can show one thing. Hold on, sorry, I'm lying. So if we do go into the library, the no, I don't need to show it. It's so mundane. We just want to go kill things and get to the librarian as soon as possible. So yeah, you guys have seen that a million times. So but lastly though, so what we want to do is if we need to grind the library for money, it's kind of weird. So actually, I can bring this up here again. So if I need to grind the library, what I want to do, if I can get my pointer back up, here we go. Is I want to go into the room to the left of here to grind. I'm not going to make that grind happen until I know I need to do it. But we'll just dispatch these guys. Unfortunately, we're going to like triple hit them. So you're not going to see it here, but there's a room to the left here, which contains Durons and flea armors. Now, flea armors are a bit scary, although we did get armor, so we'll be a bit protected from it. But that room, there's essentially 4 rooms over here. So there's a room with Durons and flea armors. That's great for grinding. You can go back and forth and get them to drop cash, and that's all good. The There's a sort of like an intermediary room we don't care about, and then there's another room with like flea armors or endurons. Then the room after that is right below the librarian, and that has an item in it. And if you're in for a long grind, you might as well check that item. Because you need to reset rooms anyways by doing screen transitions, so you might as well go ahead and do that. But typically, what you would want to do if you're in a situation where you need to grind is you're not going to check unless you've been keeping track of money in your head, which I do recommend. I think it's cool when I remember to do it to know where you are with money. But if I was to go to check what would normally be the what is it, the fairy scroll, right? The thing that when you punch people it tells them their name. If you still don't have a relic at that point, then you know the only relic left in logic is the librarian. So you can just check your menu and say, do I even have $500? Now in this case, we know we do because we checked and we saw we had a diamond. But if that wasn't the case, then I would beeline back, and like especially if let's say I only had like $100, I would beeline back to this room immediately. I wouldn't check what's in the library because I know something is there. The looking to see what it is irrelevant to that point, and I would just go back into the room to the left here and start grinding. Now the only problem is that if you go to this room to the left and grind until you get 500, then you got to make the whole trip back, right? So there is a thought that you could, instead of doing that, you could, let's say, grind until you get like 400 or 425, 450, and then make your way back and hope that you get another drop right before the librarian. The and and if not, just grind it over there. So at least when you hit the $500 plateau, then you can go immediately to the library instead of having to make this trek back from this room here, which is longer. You can try to get some money along the way. But anyways, so yeah, this video is pretty long, so we should probably cap this off here. So I hope this has been beneficial. The biggest things are like you can do it. Like again, we're just pressing buttons, right? Like it's doable. Just have some mental checkpoints in place. Watch what some other people do. Look at what their times are for whatever mental checkpoints that you have, and I'm confident that you can make it happen. Like there's nothing special about what like who I am or what I do. It's just been practice and playing, right? And when I can check myself as I play in races to say where am I at and like is this where I want to be in terms of timing, and then I can keep pushing that limit lower. Or you have the mentality that you can push the limit lower, then you'll be in a good place. Just follow Aaron and Senna's advice. So that's it for me. If you stick through all 45 minutes, you're a lad. Obviously, there'll be any corrections or anything in the comments. I'll pin comments for folks who give really good advice. And otherwise, cheers. We'll see you soon.